Everyone thought Leonard Briggs was just a quiet old man who liked to shoot on Tuesdays, until a Navy SEAL recruit noticed a faded tattoo on his arm and uncovered a story buried for 50 years. Leonard Briggs showed up every Tuesday. Rain or shine, holiday or not, his boots stepped off that old silver Ford at 9:56 a.m. sharp. He didn't say much, just nodded politely at the clerk behind the glass, signed in, and made his way to lane 12 with a slow, deliberate pace. Vintage canvas bag in one hand, thermos in the other. Black coffee, always black. The Delano Gun Club wasn't the kind of place where people came to make small talk. Most were off-duty officers, ex-military, weekend warriors, or dads teaching their sons how to, and then there was Leonard. Thin-framed, wire-rimmed glasses. Grey flat cap pulled low over his brow. He didn't fit any category, and yet nobody questioned his presence. He hit his mark. Every single time. Most folks figured he was just another retiree with too much time, and not enough family, maybe a veteran. Maybe just a hobbyist. He was polite, consistent, and alone. That was all anyone really knew. Until Logan Ferris walked in. Logan was home from Coronado, where he'd been grinding through BUDS, the brutal Navy SEAL selection course. His hands were still blistered from cold water swims. His frame lean and sharp from days without rest. But he had that unmistakable bounce of someone who'd made it past Hell Week. He wasn't cocky, just young and proud. He came with his older cousin Cole, a Bakersfield cop. They took lanes 10 and 11. Logan started to set up when he noticed the man in lane 12. There was something off. Not in a bad way, just different. Leonard's stance was textbook perfect. Feet firm, elbow tucked, exhale timed just right. The shots echoed like punctuation marks. Pop, pop, pop. All sent a mass. Logan couldn't help but glance over now and then. You see the way he holds that? Logan said, nudging Cole. That's not casual. Cole didn't even look. Old man's been coming here longer than I've had this badge. Just likes to shoot. Never talks, but Logan kept watching. And when Leonard peeled off his jacket and rolled up his sleeves, that's when it happened. Right there, on the inside of his forearm, barely visible, worn and faded, was a tattoo, not a big one. Just numbers. 6 digits aligned perfectly. Above it, a tiny dagger with wings etched in a way only someone military would recognize. Logan stepped out of his lane. Sir? Sorry to bother you, but that ink. You wouldn't happen to know what unit that comes from, would you? Leonard didn't look surprised. Didn't even turn fully to face him, just kept his eyes on the target and let out a slow, measured breath. Haven't been asked that in a long time. Logan stood still, waiting. Leonard finally looked at him. His eyes were tired, but sharp, like he was seeing through the young man in front of him. Not sizing him up. Just remembering something that had been buried for decades. You a SEAL? Leonard asked. Trying to be, sir. Just finished phase 1. Leonard nodded once. Then you know better than to ask questions you might not be ready to hear answers to. Logan smiled politely, but the message hit deeper than he expected. It wasn't a warning. It was an invitation. Or a test. Before Logan could say more, Leonard turned back to his target, adjusted his stance, and squeezed off 3 more shots. All dead center. But now Logan wasn't the only one watching. A few heads had turned. Eyes flicking between the young man and the old shooter like they were suddenly part of a movie scene, playing out in real life. But Leonard wasn't done teaching just yet. Logan didn't go back to his lane right away. He lingered just behind Leonard. Eyes flicking between the tattoo and the man who wore it like a scar too old to talk about. There was something about those numbers. Military, sure. But more than that, they weren't commemorative. They were classified. He waited for Leonard to reload before speaking again. I've only seen that marking once, Logan said quietly. Instructor Ramos had it. Wouldn't talk about it either. Leonard set his pistol down with care. Ramos still got that limp? Logan blinked. Yeah, shrapnel. Hey. Wait. You knew him? Leonard gave a slow half smile. We were kids together. Ramos never could duck fast enough. That cracked something open. Logan stepped closer. Leonard reached for his thermos, twisted the lid, and took a sip. You got any family in the service? My dad was Navy, passed when I was 11. My uncle's a cop. Most of the rest are teachers. Leonard nodded, then tapped the bench beside him. You can sit. I'm not going anywhere fast. Logan lowered himself down. For a few moments, they just watched the other shooters down the line. Brass clinking on concrete. Distant claps of thunder from Rs and 12 gauges. Then Leonard leaned forward slightly. Voice low, that tattoo wasn't part of anything official. Not at first. We weren't exactly listed in the books. Logan glanced at him, his curiosity widening. It was 1970. Cambodia. Leonard began. They said we weren't there, but we were a small team. 6 men. I was the youngest, only 19. They picked us for jobs they didn't want regular units touching. He paused, eyes locked on something far beyond the range. No insignia. No backup. No promise we'd come home. Logan didn't speak. He knew better now. Leonard kept going. They called us Fang Unit, never saw that name written down anywhere, just spoken. We went places most soldiers didn't know existed. Jungle was alive. Moved when it wanted. And every mission. We were expendable. Logan shifted in his seat. But that tattoo. It's not just a marker, right? Leonard chuckled. Low and DRY.NO. It's a burial tag. 6 digits, 1 for each man. Mine's the only one not crossed out. He held out his arm and ran a finger along each number. Every time one of us died, we marked it with a slash. I got 5 slashes. That hit Logan like a punch. The casual way Leonard said it made it worse. They never told our families. Leonard continued. Didn't even log our names properly. I came home in 72, landed in LA, and no one met me. Took a Greyhound back to Bakersfield and went straight to work washing cars. Just like that. Logan's jaw clenched. They erased you. Leonard looked him dead in the eyes. They never wrote us down to begin with. A few minutes passed. The rhythm of the range went on, but something had shifted. Lane 12 wasn't just some old man's spot anymore. It was a memory post. A place holding stories no one else could carry. Logan exhaled slowly. Why are you telling me this? Because you looked, Leonard said. Most don't. They glance, then move on. But you saw the numbers and you asked. Logan sat back, suddenly aware of the weight of what he was hearing. You still come here every week? Every Tuesday, Leonard said. Keeps my hand steady. Keeps the ghosts in check. Logan nodded, not sure what else to say. Leonard picked up his pistol again. Let me show you something. He raised the weapon, and without hesitation, drilled 3 shots in a triangle formation no wider than a quarter. He holstered it and didn't say a word. Logan laughed under his breath. I gotta train another 5 years just to shoot like that. You ain't gotta train 5 years, Leonard said with a grin. You just gotta live long enough. But Leonard wasn't telling this story for no reason. Something heavier was still coming. Logan came back the next Tuesday. Didn't tell his cousin. Didn't tell anyone, actually. Just showed up at 958 and waited by the vending machines with a bottle of water and 1,000 questions. Leonard arrived like clockwork, same boots, same cap, same canvas bag. When he spotted Logan, he didn't say a word. Just tipped his head slightly and kept walking toward lane 12. Logan followed. You here to shoot or to listen? Leonard asked without turning. Both, Logan replied. Leonard set his bag down. Then, don't interrupt. Some things hurt more when you stop halfway. He loaded his gear while Logan pulled over a folding chair. The air smelled of gunpowder and sunburnt metal. A couple regulars gave them sideways glances but said nothing. Something about Leonard's presence had shifted. Or maybe now they simply noticed it for the first time. Leonard took a deep breath. First time I killed a man, I didn't even see his face. The sentence landed like gravel dropped into water. Quiet but sharp. We were dropped in northeast Cambodia. Swamps, vines thick as your arm. Mission was to intercept a courier. Intel said he was carrying maps of Vietnamese encampments near the Laotian border. We weren't supposed to engage unless necessary. But nothing about that trip was what they told us. Leonard's voice was calm, but his eyes told a different story. Not haunted, but pulled. Like his mind was flipping through old pages he never meant to open again. 4 days in. No contact. No food left. We were down to boiled leaves and river water. That night I took first watch. Heard footsteps near our camp. I gave the signal but it was too late. 2 of them. Local mercs. Maybe NVA. One had a machete, the other a rifle. He paused. I shot the one with the machete first. Straight through the chest. The second one I got in the throat. He gargled for maybe 10 seconds. Logan didn't move. He barely blinked. Next morning I found out the courier was already dead. Been ambushed by a different squad 2 days before we even got there. Our mission was pointless. We were ghosts chasing ghosts. Leonard sipped his coffee and looked at the lane. Didn't fire a shot this time. After that we got orders to neutralize and vanish. No trace. No questions. I remember thinking, what's the point of surviving a mission no one will ever admit happened? Logan finally spoke. Did your team make it out? Leonard shook his head. Not all. Charlie Monroe bled out after a landmine took off half his leg. We had to leave him. He begged me not to. Screamed till his voice cracked, but if we stayed we all would have died. He looked away. That's /2. Logan leaned forward. You remember their names? All of them, every last one. Leonard said. Charlie, Daniel Vito, Reyes and Marcus Lee. We were 6. We became one. The way he said it made Logan's stomach twist. Why didn't you tell anyone? The VA? The press? Leonard let out a laugh. Short and bitter. You think they wanted a black kid from Kern County claiming to be part of a ghost unit the Pentagon never acknowledged? I couldn't even get my discharge papers fixed without driving to San Diego twice. Ramos tried. He got farther than me, but they shut that down real quick. A long silence followed. Logan stared at the floor. That's messed up. That's history. Leonard replied, not the kind they put in textbooks, but the kind that builds bones under the dirt. He finally picked up his pistol, aimed at the target, and squeezed the trigger. One shot. Direct center. Logan stood up. You ever think about writing it down? I mean, somebody should. Leonard didn't look at him. I did. Burned it. Logan blinked. Why? Because the ones who need to remember already do. And the ones who don't care never will. But Logan wasn't going to let this story fade like smoke. He just didn't know how much more Leonard had left to say. That third Tuesday, Logan brought a notebook. Leonard noticed right away. You writing a book now? Logan shook his head. Just don't want to forget, you say things that stick. Leonard didn't respond right away. He adjusted his earmuffs. Looked downrange. Then waved Logan over like he had something on his mind. Let me tell you about Reyes. He said, his voice a notch lower than usual. Kid was from Yuma. Grew up splitting time between the cotton fields and the garage where his dad fixed transmissions. Small guy. Quick hands. Had a nervous laugh. He got assigned to a straight out of Fort Benning. Leonard took aim. Fired once and exhaled slowly. He kept a rosary in his sock. Said it kept him grounded. That and humming old Marvin Gaye tunes when we were hiking deep jungle. Annoyed the hell out of Monroe. But it kept us sane. Logan cracked a smile. Sounds like he was the heart of the team. He was, Leonard said. And he didn't deserve what happened. Logan sat up straighter. Leonard's face changed, less memory. More weight. We were halfway through a recon mission near the Vietnamese border. Heard intel about a weapon stash buried near an old temple. Locals stayed away from it. Called it cursed. We laughed it off. Leonard paused to take a sip of coffee. His hands, though steady, had tension now, like something he couldn't quite unclench. Reyes triggered a booby trap. Hidden wire, crude grenade buried in the ground. Blew both his legs clean off. Leonard's jaw tensed. He didn't die right away. It took 6 hours. Logan swallowed hard. What did you do? Leonard's voice cracked just slightly. I stayed with him. Held him down while he screamed, sang to him. I don't even sing. But I sang every Marvin Gaye lyric I could remember. There was silence between them for a moment. Then Leonard spoke again. He bled through the dirt so fast it turned black that I remember thinking how the ground looked like it was swallowing him. Logan didn't speak. He couldn't. That's /4, Leonard said quietly. After that mission, I stopped humming. Stopped praying too, if I'm being honest. Leonard holstered his pistol and looked at Logan directly. We weren't just soldiers. We were shadows. We did things that people in clean clothes and nice desks would never understand. And when we came back, if we came back, those same people made sure to look the other way. Logan clenched his notebook. But you did what no one else would. Leonard shook his head. We did what they wouldn't admit needing. He stood for a moment, stretching his back. You know, my mother never knew what I really did. She thought I worked supply logistics. I let her believe it. I used to write letters full of lies. Told her we were safe, clean, well-fed. He chuckled. But it was hollow. Truth is, we went days without food, slept on tree roots, and buried our own with our bare hands. Logan stared out across the range. It's hard to believe you went through all that and just kept living. Leonard nodded slowly. Some nights, I still wake up hearing Reyes singing. And when I come here, shoot a few rounds. It's like I'm back in control, just for a second. The range was quieter that day. Or maybe Logan was just hearing everything differently now. Leonard looked at him. You think this country knows what it asks from people like us? I don't think it does, Logan said. Leonard nodded again. Then maybe the next generation can change that. One story at a time. But the truth Leonard carried wasn't just about the war. It was about what came after. And Logan hadn't heard the worst of it yet. That Thursday, it rained. A rare downpour in Delano. But Leonard still showed up. Boots damp, cap dripping, thermos in hand. Logan was already there, leaning on the hood of his cousin's truck, waiting like a student with unfinished homework. He had more questions. But Leonard didn't speak right away. He just motioned toward lane 12, and the two of them walked over in silence. They set up without talking. The range was nearly empty. Just one father and son at the far end. A single strip of light cut through the clouds above. Logan waited until Leonard took his first shot. Then another, then finally spoke. You ever talk to anyone else about all this? Leonard kept his eyes on the target. Not really. My wife knew a little, before she passed. I told her enough to explain the nightmares. Never the details. Logan hesitated. What happened to her? Cancer. Leonard said plainly, stage 4 by the time they caught it. She went fast. Strongest woman I ever met. He lowered his gun and looked out across the rain-soaked yard. She used to say I talked in my sleep. Names, numbers, screams that I didn't even know I was doing it. He picked up his thermos, took a sip, and gave a small, tired smile. She called them ghosts, said every man brings home more than dirt on his boots. Logan jotted something down in his notebook. Then stopped and looked up. Did it ever go away? The nightmares? Leonard gave a short laugh. No. They just got quieter, less teeth. Some nights, I sleep through. Other nights, I get up, walk the house, make coffee, and sit until the sky changes color. He adjusted his grip on the pistol again. The VA said I had PTSD. Offered pills. I took them for a while. Made my hands feel like rubber. I stopped. Logan watched him line up another shot. Hold his breath. Then fire. But the ghosts, Logan, they're not always loud. Sometimes they're subtle. They're in the way I check every room twice. How I keep my back to walls. How I flinch when someone slams a car door. He paused. They are in the quiet. That's where they live. Logan swallowed hard. And the tattoo. Leonard looked at it again, as if seeing it fresh for the first time. That tattoo is the only grave they got. Charlie, Reyes, Vito Monroe, Marcus Lee. I can't visit a headstone. Can't bring flowers. So I carry them here. He tapped his forearm. One line for each of them. Every year I don't talk about them. The line gets deeper. Logan's throat tightened. You ever think about telling their families? Leonard sighed. I tried once. Tracked down Reyes's sister in Tucson, wrote a letter. Spent 2 weeks on it. But when I was ready to send it, I couldn't. What would I say? That I watched her brother die on the floor of a jungle no one's allowed to admit we were in. He shook his head. Truth without context just sounds like noise, and the world's already loud enough. They stood there for a long minute. The kind that stretches between generations. Logan finally asked, so why come here? Why keep shooting? Leonard holstered the pistol slowly. Because when I'm here, I don't have to pretend. Every shot is an echo I can control. Every round is a memory that doesn't own me. He picked up his thermos, took one final sip, then turned to Logan. You said you wanted to be a SEAL. You ready to come back broken? Logan didn't blink. I don't want to break. But if I do, I want to break for something that matters. Leonard stared at him for a long second. Then, for the first time since they met, he offered his hand. Logan took it. It was firm, steady, calloused, alive. But it was what happened next week at the range that would show Logan just how sharp Leonard's edge still was, and that the ghosts weren't the only thing watching. The following Tuesday, Leonard arrived a little later than usual. 9:59. Enough to throw Logan off. He was pacing near the office window, thinking maybe the old man had finally skipped a day. But Leonard showed calm as always, wiping rain from his cap like it didn't matter. He didn't speak as he signed in, but something was different. Logan noticed it right away. Leonard's posture was tighter. His jaw set in a way it hadn't been before. Everything all right? Logan asked. Leonard gave a slow nod. Didn't sleep much. Logan didn't press. They walked to lane 12 together. The place was busier than usual. A group of 4 guys in matching jackets. Mid-30s. Bulky loud. Had taken up lanes 8 through 11. Talking trash. Laughing hard. Snapping pics. Nothing unusual until they started watching Leonard. One of them elbowed the guy next to him. Yo, that old dude can barely lift his gun. Logan froze mid-step. Leonard heard it. Didn't flinch. Just placed his bag on the bench and began unloading the pistol. Another voice chimed in. Hey, Grandpa. You sure you're supposed to be here? Leonard didn't respond. Just calmly loaded his magazine, slid it into place and chambered around. His focus stayed locked on the paper target. Logan turned. Hey. Back off. The tallest of the group smirked. Relax, SEAL boy. We are just messing around. Yeah. Logan said, stepping forward. Why don't you mess around on your own lane? Leonard raised his hand gently, signaling Logan to stop. He stepped forward, raised his pistol, and without even seeming to aim, fired 5 shots, all clustered so tight. They cut a hole through the center of the paper. Leonard lowered the pistol, turned slightly to the side and said, without raising his voice, I've buried 5 friends who died protecting people they didn't even know. You think words from men like you mean anything to me? The group fell quiet. Even the smirk vanished. The range manager stepped out from the office, eyes flicking between them. Everything good out here? Leonard turned back to his bench, holstered his weapon. And Saturday. Logan didn't say a word, neither did the 4 men. They packed up and left 15 minutes later. After they were gone, Logan sat beside Leonard. You didn't have to say anything. No, Leonard said, eyes still on the target. But sometimes people need to be reminded what respect looks like. Logan tapped his notebook, then stopped. That wasn't just respect, that was something else. Leonard glanced at him. One brow raised, that was control. You could have humiliated them. You didn't, you just made your point. Leonard gave a slow nod. The loudest man in the room is usually the one who's never been hit. Logan chuckled under his breath. Guess they've never seen a real shooter before. Leonard smiled slightly. They've seen movies. That's not the same. The rest of their session was quiet. Logan shot. Leonard coached. No more talk of the war. No more ghosts. Just the steady rhythm of steel and lead. By the time they packed up, the air had cooled. Logan walked Leonard to his truck. Those guys, Logan said, they're gonna tell people about you now. Leonard paused before getting in. Let them. Maybe they'll tell it right. Maybe they won't. But the ones who needed to see it? They were already watching. He closed the door, started the engine, and gave Logan a short nod as he pulled away. Logan stood there for a while, notebook in hand, heart still pounding, not from the near confrontation, but from what it revealed. Leonard wasn't just history. He was presence. Power that didn't need volume. But as Logan would soon learn, there was one part of Leonard's story that had never been told to anyone, not even his wife. And it was the part that hurt the most. Logan didn't sleep much that night. He kept replaying the scene over and over. The way Leonard handled those men without flinching. The accuracy, the calm. The weight behind every word. The next day, Logan found himself sitting in his uncle's garage. Oil-stained notepad in hand, trying to put it all into words. But nothing quite landed. How do you explain to someone that you saw something sacred on a Tuesday morning at a gun range? The following week, when Logan returned, something had shifted at the range. Subtle things. People who used to ignore Leonard now greeted him with respectful nods. A few younger shooters lowered their volume when he passed. Even the manager, who'd never said more than 10 words to Leonard, came over to refill the paper targets himself. Leonard didn't acknowledge any of it. He just went about his routine. But Logan noticed everyone had. You changed the room, Logan said as they sat on the bench after an hour of shooting. Leonard gave a soft shrug. They just saw what they'd been pretending not to. Logan leaned forward. You ever feel like maybe the fight was worth it, after all? That people are starting to get it now. Leonard's expression didn't change much. He just looked down at his hands, calloused and strong even in old age. I fought because I was told it would matter. That if we proved ourselves, we'd be remembered the same as anyone else. But memory's a tricky thing, Logan. People don't remember what makes them uncomfortable. He paused. Looked out across the range. But they remember fear and they remember courage. Sometimes, that's enough. Logan thought about that. It's not just about medals, is it? Leonard gave him a look. Medals. I've got 2 bronze stars in a drawer next to expired light bulbs. They don't talk. They don't explain things to your children. They don't answer questions when someone asks why Daddy cries in his sleep. Logan took that in without a word. After a few moments, a teenager and his mother took the lane next to them. The boy couldn't have been older than 16. Nervous. Fumbling with his ear protection. Leonard watched for a second, then stood and walked over. Hold your breath on the exhale. He told the boy gently, don't rush the shot. Let the shot come to you. The boy looked up, startled, then nodded slowly. His mother mouthed a silent, thank you. Leonard returned to the bench. Logan smirked. You do that a lot? Leonard shrugged. Only when they look like they're trying. That afternoon, as the sun lowered behind the hills, Logan asked something that had been sitting on his chest. If you had the chance to go back, would you do it again? Leonard didn't answer right away. He ran a cleaning cloth down the length of his pistol, quiet and focused. I'd go, he finally said. But I'd fight harder to be seen when I came back. That answer stayed with Logan the rest of the day. And the next. A week later, Logan brought a camera. I want to record some of this, he said. Just audio. For myself. For when I need reminding. Leonard hesitated. Then nodded once. No names, he said. And don't twist it into something it wasn't. Promise. They recorded for nearly 2 hours. Leonard told stories of heat and mud and silence and betrayal. Of Morse code tapped on rifle stocks. Of fireflies used as signals. Of loyalty that survived even as bodies didn't. Logan didn't interrupt once. When they were done, Leonard leaned back, eyes closed. I don't need the world to remember my name, he said. I just want one person to remember what we gave. Logan closed the notebook slowly. You've got that already. But Leonard had one last piece of truth buried deeper than the rest. Something even Logan hadn't guessed, and it was time to say it out loud. The next Tuesday, Leonard didn't show up. Logan waited for an hour, walked the lanes, asked around, even checked the parking lot twice, though he already knew the truck wasn't there. Something felt off. By Wednesday afternoon, Logan drove over to the address Leonard had scribbled for him 2 weeks earlier on a gas receipt. A modest house on the east side of Delano. White paint peeling. Mailbox dented. 2 wind chimes tapping lazily in the breeze. He knocked twice. No answer. A neighbor in a Dodgers cap stepped outside and nodded toward the house.